and welcome to Grade Gov News. Well, it's Saturday. I'm hoping that you're starting to enjoy the Christmas holidays. That your holidays are starting to be filled with Christmas shopping, holiday shopping. Maybe you're going to a holiday party. Well, as I said, it's Saturday, and what I thought I'd do today is recap the week in Congress as it pertains to the fiscal cliff. What was going on this week? What happened this week in Congress as it pertains to the fiscal cliff? I'm going to start with Tuesday. Tuesday, the president was met by 6 governors, 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. They came to the White House. They met with him in the morning, basically letting him know that the fiscal cliff surely affects them. It affects their budgets. They have State of the State addresses that they have to give in January, and they don't know how to do their budgets without knowing the end result of the fiscal cliff, so they offered to help. They offered to help in any way they could. They mentioned, of course, the fact that, for example, health benefits in their states that are matched by federal funds, they will be cut, Medicare, Medicaid. They talked about other funds, criminal justice funds that would be cut by the sequester. Will they have to lay off a policeman or two? You know, that brings me to, I really, really wish governors would run their states more independently of the federal government like they used to. I love the story that Governor Mitch Daniels of Indiana can tell. Basically, before he leaves office this January, the new governor, Governor Mike Pence, will inherit a surplus. That's right. Indiana residents will receive $111 in tax credits if you're a single taxpayer this year. If you're married filing jointly in the state of Indiana, you receive $222 tax credit dollars. Wow, that's great news. Wouldn't it be wonderful if all states could run that way? Also, the state of Florida, Governor Rick Scott, he has trimmed $2 billion off the debt in the state of Florida. All of these good news. I wish we had 48 stories like that to tell. So the governors met with the president on Tuesday morning, and then they went down up to the Capitol Hill, met with House and Senate leaders, these 6 governors, again talking about how necessary it is to get something done with the fiscal cliff. They need to know how to run their budgets, how to run their state budgets, so they offered their help. And then you had Wednesday of this week, the president called Speaker Boehner. According to the staff, and actually according to the speaker on a Friday press conference that he had, the call was really much to do about nothing. It was more about the president being able to say to the press for the week, well, I reached out to the speaker. I called the speaker this week, but it was really much to do about nothing. And then on Thursday in the United States Senate, there was a brief period of time where it looked like the Senate of the United States was going to actually be able to vote on the president's debt ceiling raising agreement that he proposed. This is one where he is allowed to increase the debt ceiling, the amount of money that he needs when he runs out of money to pay his debts, to increase that amount of money automatically. And if Congress doesn't like it, they can pass legislation to disapprove it. Well, let's play that out for just a second, this automatic debt ceiling language. The president would get the ability to raise the debt ceiling when he needed more money. The House of Representatives could vote to disapprove it. The Republican-controlled House would probably vote to disapprove it. But would the Senate of the United States vote to disapprove that? Probably not. But let's assume somehow they do end up voting to disapprove the language. Well, that bill to disapprove the increase would go down to the president for his signature, and he would surely veto it. And they don't have the votes in the House or the Senate to override the veto. It takes 67 in the Senate, for example. The Senate Republicans right now have 47. In the new Congress, they would have 45. So that's not possible. Anyway, that's a non-starter, but Senator McConnell wanted the Senate to be on record as to whether they were for or against that language. There was a period of time on Thursday where it looked like the Senate might be able to vote on that language, but then the agreement that they were working out did not go through. And then Friday, the Speaker of the House, Speaker Boehner, called a press conference, called a Republican conference followed by a press conference at 11 o'clock in the morning to basically recap what happened with the fiscal cliff during the week, much like what I'm doing now. The one thing he did offer was an interesting idea with respect to the fiscal cliff discharge petition. Let me explain for a second what that is about. If you're in the minority, you have the ability to offer a discharge petition, and if you get enough signatures, the bill that you offer the discharge petition on automatically comes up on the House floor. No amendments, quick debate. However, it takes 218 signatures to get one of these discharge petitions approved. There's actually a book in the House chamber. For those of you that watch the House of Representatives, the big rostrum behind those speaking, that's the rostrum, and there's a book that sits there, and members of the House, Republican or Democrat, they have to walk into the House chamber, walk up to the rostrum, and sign the book. Well, they need 218 signatures, and of course, the bill that we're talking about is the extension of the Bush tax cuts for everybody. This is the extension of all those tax deductions we've been enjoying since 2001 for everybody except those making over $250,000. This is what the president calls taxing the rich, and this is the core, the basis for the fiscal cliff negotiations as far as the White House is concerned. So Speaker Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, wants this bill to come up, and she's trying to get it up in the form of the discharge petition. And they need 25 House Republicans to walk over in the House chamber, sign the book to have it discharged. Well, they don't have those signatures yet, but they're working on those. And then on Friday, also, the president asked Congress for a FEMA increase request. This is money for those who were suffered so badly in Tropical Storm Sandy. 11 Northeast governors have made the request. They wanted $83 billion. The president said, I'll make the request of $60 billion. So he wants $60 billion in emergency supplemental disaster money for Tropical Storm Sandy victims. $60 billion. I think we should all watch this bill closely. The request was sent to Congress on Friday, but next week we'll watch it closely because this could be the engine that pulls the fiscal cliff legislation. After all, what member of Congress wants to vote against money to help Sandy victims? It's $60 billion. Under the House rules, under the Senate rules, it doesn't have to be paid for because it can be designated an emergency. And I think most people will at least admit that Sandy created emergencies in all of the disasters that it created. So we'll watch the disaster relief request that the president sent up Friday. Let's see if the House can get the signatures needed for the discharge petition. See if they can vote once again on the extension of the Bush tax cuts. So in the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your family and friends as the holiday gets closer. And I will talk to you real soon, so stay tuned.